Hey team, we're going to show you how to run through some shoulder trigger release exercises down on the floor. Now against the wall is a little bit of an easier version. You can imagine there's more gravitational or downward forces happening here. So it's a little bit more gnarly. If you can tolerate it, that's perfect. If not, just know it's about the dosage level. I've got a couple of different toys. You can make anything work, but I like different sizes because they'll be able to get into different areas a little bit better. So we're going to start off with the two biggest culprits around the shoulder. Number one is the lat, this massive big muscle that attaches or goes from our lower back, fans out and then comes around the front of our shoulder. So when it gets really tight from too much swimming, or say we're doing a lot of chin up work and fall into bad form, then we get this kind of hunch position. So I'm going to take this lat, this foam roller, and get into that lat. I'm going to start kind of diagonally back from the armpit. And I'm just going to find that really sort of juicy, almost maybe like a little bit of a sharp point. And that's how you know you're on the money. Now there's a couple of different variations. I always like to add in a little bit of movement. So while my hand's behind my head, that lat is on stretch. But I can also reach out overhead and start to play around with a little bit of internal, external rotation around that arm and shoulder. And I can work slowly over time down the ribs. So coming down a little bit, flossing across that muscle. Again, looking for anything that's gnarly or really tight. Feels a little bit gross being on the ribs. That's normal. Working down, lower again. So that's your lat release. That one works really nicely there. This one works really nicely too. I'm going to take you into the pecs as our next one. So that usually has the second largest effect on the shoulder joint. The second biggest muscle around the shoulder joint. So anywhere in that pec mass is where we're searching for. Pop it in. Number one, position-wise, is we can start to have a little bit of a twist into it. So I'm trying to turn my body and almost pin that ball down into the floor. Find your juicy, tight point in there. Another variation, we might start to work into some overhead patterns. So if you find you're quite restricted with your shoulder pressing, for example, or even bench presses, horizontal work, I might fly overhead, or I might do a little bit of pressing work as well. So that's number two. Number three, I'm going to take the smaller ball, and we're just going to go searching around our scapula on that upper back area. So I'm going to pop it in, have a little roll, just see what feels juicy. If you find something a bit ropey, that's usually a good sign too. And you can hold it, lift your hips up if you want to put a little bit more pressure on it. And to keep it dynamic, again, I'll start to open out overhead. Might even do a little bit of pressing in that process as well. So hips off the floor makes it harder. Back down on the floor makes it easier. Go searching for those tight points, really work them out just like a good masseuse would. Number three, we're going to tackle our posterior capsule. So around the back of the shoulder joint, got a lot of tight ligamentous structures here, and sometimes when they get really jacked up, what they're going to do is squeeze that humeral head forward, and we kind of get the rounded shoulders, that grumpy shoulder position. So lying on our side, I'm going to tuck back towards me, pop that ball underneath, lying on my side. Again, you'll know the spot when you hit it because it's kind of like a big owies. And from there, a little bit of external rotation into internal rotation. When we combine triggers with movement, it's much more effective at restoring those joint ranges rather than me just kind of lying on it. So find what positions your shoulder is happy with, and just over time, see if you can make it 1 degree, 1 centimeter further, whatever it might be. And just have fun.